So how do you go from competing competitively in like horse obstacle races to like I've watched videos of your old vlogs. Like your dad is the funniest dude there is. Like it's funny as fuck. He knows what content is. Yeah. How do you go from doing Gymkhana to being on Disney Channel to going all the, like what is that? How were you made?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I was telling you guys this a little bit before. My dad kind of knew that this would be a route. My dad has done this his whole life, and
entertainment.
Yeah, the entertainment business, and to him, everything that I would do as a kid would play a part into this career. Mm-hmm. So even though I didn't seriously start getting in the business until I was about 7.5, 8. Gymkhana, my dad's idea was, my dad loves horses, don't get me wrong, but it was also, if he ever books an equestrian movie, Western movie, he knows how to ride horses. If he ever books a superhero movie, martial arts, he knows how to fight. You know, always give that one up ahead, you know, because in the business, it comes down to dimes and nickels. It's that sort of a difference of why this kid gets a role over why this kid doesn't. And if you're in a superhero role, Tom Holland, Spider-Man, perfect example. He has a gymnastics background. And when he was auditioning for Spider-Man, I'm sure there was a lot of big actors coming in, but could they maybe do a backflip? Could they do tumbling? Can they do shit like that? No, he could. So with everything I did growing up as a kid, it all played into what I would do as I got older and was in the business.
So I played Little League, and most of us did, but my dad worked really hard when he was in high school, and his dream was to become a professional baseball player. And he instilled that into me. I was really good purely because he forced me to, not because I enjoyed it.
No, you weren't that good.
I was pretty good when I was 12.
You were shit.
When I was 12, that was when I was the best at my point, and that's purely because I was being pushed.
Right.
Did you feel that? Because I grew. I'm just being honest. I grew resentment over time, but it was all good. Have you felt any of that?
I think that there's always phases. You know, no 9-year-old kid knows what he wants to do for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? Ask any 9-year-old what they want to be, and they'll probably say a superhero. You know what I mean? Or they'll want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Well, then will that kid want to grow up and actually become a doctor? That's a different story.
Yeah.
For my dad, I think it was kind of like he didn't really give a shit. You know, because like what does an 8-year-old know? So yeah, when I was younger, none of it made sense to me. I didn't know why I wasn't in public school. Why wasn't I around normal kids? Why was this my life? And yeah, it created conflicts. But do I sit here today regretting it? No. Yeah. I have an amazing platform. I have a great supporting crew of fans and friends and entertainment business and people then, and talents that I seem to have an array of. And growing up as a kid, you don't appreciate that until you get older and you see that there's other kids that their parents just kind of let them do whatever they wanted, and now these kids are 19, 20, lost, not knowing what they want to do in this world.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up obviously, like we talked about this last podcast, but it's because we had Sophie Dawson on, who was on some Disney shows as well. Yeah. How did that begin for you? Because when you talk about now, you sit back and look, this was great. I'm so glad I went through this. Everyone grew up wanting to be on the TV shows, on the shows. How did that all begin, and what were you thinking during that?
For me, I always feel like I let people down because I feel like for every kid growing up, Disney Channel especially, like Disney and Nick, because those are shows they grow up watching. That's like if every kid wants to be an actor, they want to be on those shows. For me, like growing up, dude, when I was a kid, all I watched was Bruce Lee movies and Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective is the funniest shit in the world.
I bet, and then I would watch like cartoons. I loved like Ben 10 and like Jake the Teenage Dragon and shit like that. Like, I didn't really watch like Sweet Life when I was younger, like here and there, but I was never like a big Disney fan. Mm-hmm. So when I actually joined Disney Channel, I don't think it was as magical for me as it was for like other kids. For me, I also had been doing it by that time already. When I was joining Disney, I'd already been acting for 5 years. So for me, it was just another job, and the one thing that my dad always taught me was never settle, so whereas Disney Channel at that age can feel like, damn, I've made it. My dad was like, no, this is just a step in a very big staircase towards where you want to get to. Mm-hmm. So being on Disney, I treated it as this is another job, and it will come, and I'll make the best time of it as I can while being here, and then I'm going to move on and keep doing more things.
What were the shows you were on? Like, I know you're on in the middle.
Stuck in the Middle.
Stuck in the Middle, right? But like, what was all the shows you went on? What was like the big one?
That's hard to say. I mean, Stuck in the Middle definitely plays a very big part into my success, I suppose, because it was a very big Disney show. Maybe Disney's like last big show. I was in that last segment of big Disney shows before Disney kind of started relying on Disney Plus. But then, I mean, also while being on Disney, I was simultaneously on Fuller House on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I was doing that. So on the off season of Disney, I would go right over to Fuller House, and I always have personally loved doing Fuller House. But
have you met
Fuller
Bob
House?
Saget?
Oh yeah,
Hell
I
yeah.
love them all.
If you guys don't know, Fuller House it's the revamp of Full House with John
it's
Stamos,
the spinoff.
And I heard you were supposed to be the star, but you couldn't do it because of an Amazon show.
Yeah, so it's actually crazy. So Amazon Prime at that point was Amazon was obviously big, but Amazon Prime is a very baby idea of starting to make shows for Amazon. And there was a show being made. It was called History of Radness. It was supposed to be a music show. And Netflix was doing this Fuller House spinoff. And I was auditioning for both simultaneously. And I booked the DJ's son, Jackson. I booked that role. And then I booked the Amazon show. And because they were both lead roles, the way the business works is you can't do two lead roles at once.
They want to market you as one lead role.
As one lead role. So after a very long talk with the agency, Fuller House seemed like the apparent choice, but Amazon seemed like the more of an investment. Because if the show were to be the first big Amazon Prime show, it'd be exponentially bigger than anything Netflix, which was already esteemed, was doing. So we took that one. And also having a music background, that's why we took Amazon. But then I got a call from Netflix. It was a call from John Stamos and Jeff Franklin, who created the show. And they told me that they'd written me a character because they loved my audition so much, brought me on the show, and the rest was history. I was reoccurring on that show for all 5 seasons.
That's fucking sick.